Why, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today on Leading Off with Brodes. Look, it's going to be a very long night of Philadelphia sports. You got the Sixers, you got the Flyers, and yes, you got the Phillies. But I'm most fascinated with this Phillies squad to see if they can start all 5-0. Okay, that's where my heart is right now. I can't wait to see this lineup. Yes, this lineup, this very interesting lineup that Joe Girardi is rocking. And there are some numbers to throw out there when it comes to Matt Joyce, when it comes to Bamboo Brad. Reese Hoskins not in there. Andrew McCutchen's not in there. They do play a game tomorrow in the middle of the day around 4 o'clock. So just thinking about reasons why these decisions were made. You're going to have to throw some of these utility and bench guys in there at some point. Maybe the matchup when you have Marcus Stroman in there, maybe it makes the most sense considering last season 291 was the batting was the batting average against lefties last year, but career-wise, it's 262 against lefties, which is pretty damn close to what it is against righties for his career, which is 260. So last year, you can look at it and say there's something to it, 291. Let's throw all the lefties in the world at him, except for one man that stood out to me the most when I saw the lineup, and that's Adam Hazley. Adam Hazley not in the lineup today, and you got to make a statement, right? What you did yesterday was so pathetic. The poor read on the ball, taking 5,000 steps backwards before you realize, maybe the ball is going to land in front of me, right? Maybe I actually have to go challenge this thing. And what do you know? The ball drops right in front of his feet. It was a disaster. The problem is I hate Roman Quinn. I just hate Roman Quinn. And with that being said, you know what's going to happen. He's going to have 2 hits. He's going to come up with that timely hit. This Phillies offense hasn't been as explosive as maybe we would have liked to seen it to this point. So while we recognize that Reese, McCutchen, these players are not in today's game, that's when you're going to see the home runs. I mean, let's be realistic. Who has the home run here for this squad? Oh, that's right, Andrew Knapp. So I just sense that this is going to be one of those wonky games where maybe Matt Joyce goes yard twice or Bamboo Brad gives it a ride and it goes to the right field wall. You're just going to have all this explosive offense because, well, of course it would go down this way. You haven't had it since the beginning of the year. You had your situational hitting and you had enough of clutch moments to start out 4-0. But why do I feel like today is the day that they go out there and just rake, and I mean rake, on Marcus Stroman? So, you know how it is. We have to go to the batter's box here on Leading Off with Brodes. So let's do that. Let's go into the batter's box. All right, let's see what we have here for the lineup today. You have Matt Joyce leading off, Alec Boehm in the 2-hole, and I'm very interested to see what it's like for him to be in that new spot. He was batting a little bit of cleanup when JT wasn't in the lineup, and then he bats around 5th right after JT, so he's played there. Now he's getting thrown into that 2 spot. I want to see what you get out of Alec Boehm, a couple more at-bats maybe. Let's see if he can give it for a ride. Bryce Harper in the 3 spot. I put up a Twitter poll, by the way, on Brodes Media. Yes, that is right. We have a Brodes Media account now for Twitter. Make sure you head on over and hit that follow button. We will have a new giveaway starting tomorrow. Hump Day giveaways every Wednesday. And Brodes Media, that account will be into effect. So make sure you go on and go over to that Twitter account. But I put up a Twitter poll asking the question, is tonight the night for Bryce Harper to hit his first home run of the season? We know he was robbed by the wind. The baseball gods and the wind on day one, it forced him to not have that opposite field bomb that was clearly going over the fence. Unfortunately, it did not happen. So is Marcus Stroman a good possibility for that to happen? I think the answer is yes, damn it. I think this is a great game for him to be able to put all the power behind it. Maybe Boehm earns a walk, a 9-pitch at-bat, fouling pitches off, staying involved. Maybe there's a close pitch on the outside corner that he should have swung at to protect, but he doesn't, and he say, all right, good eye. All right, good eye. Way to be smart, kid. Even though you realize, hey, with 2 strikes, you probably should have just tapped that one foul, but hey, we'll live with it. We'll tell you that that was a beautiful thing and you sensed it. Good stuff, Alec Boehm. Maybe he earns himself first base, and here's Bryce Harper with all the swag in the world, with some great eye black. The hair gets a little bit longer from yesterday or something. I don't know. I'm just thinking of the perfect version of Bryce. And to me, it was when he had the flow touching the shoulders with the sunglasses on. There's no one who does it better than him. Maybe Tatis Jr. can rock the swag. In the swag department in the baseball world, though, Bryce Harper is clearly in the upper echelon. Getting back to my point here, though, maybe that's when you let him get his first of the season on Marcus Stroman. I could see this being the night. I really could. In your cleanup spot, JT Realmuto, Didi Gregorius batting 5th, Gene Segura batting 6th, Brad Miller batting 7th, and Roman Quinn batting 8th. I can't believe it. I understand why. You got to make a statement. Adam Hazley has not been anything where it's like, oh, yeah, Adam Hazley has to play even though he had a hiccup. No, that hiccup was embarrassing, but I just can't believe here we are. And it sounds silly. Brodes, are you really complaining they're 4-0? You're really telling me that you're going to be bitching when they haven't lost a game yet this season? I'm not bitching about their start to the season, but I'm bitching about the debacle that we are witnessing in center field. It has already become that nightmare scenario that I didn't feel like going through this season, which was this platoon of Quinn. Should I ask the question, how many strikeouts is Roman Quinn going to have? Over, under 2.5? Seriously. Over, under 2.5. How many swing and misses is he going to have with a pitch that he should have been able to drive into the outfield? Maybe into the gap. Too many. Too many! But they're 4-0, so maybe I should calm down a little bit. All right, so Matt Joyce against Marcus Stroman. 4 for 11 with a home run. So there has been production out of Matt Joyce, and he was raking early in spring training. He was really seeing the ball very well. You got to get some of these bench guys time to get out there and see some pitching and all. So if there is a spot for him to slide in there, I can totally agree with him getting an opportunity to swing the bat tonight against Marcus Stroman. Very small sample size. It's not as if the guy has 300 career at-bats against him or anything, but for his 11 career at-bats, he's 4-11 with one that was crushed. So hopefully you get that again today, maybe to start the game off. Citizens Bank Park gets electric. You got a bunch of hammered guys that just walked over from Jetro. Maybe you're 1 or 2 pitches late, but as you plop down into your seat with your hot dog and your ice cream and the Phillies helmet with the jimmies on it, the sprinkles, whatever the hell you call it, you spill your beer over as soon as you sit down because Matt Joyce is taking it for this crazy moonshot. Ah, damn it, I just paid 10 fucking bucks for that beer, but you happily do it anyway. Brad Miller, his career, 7 for 32. Against Marcus Stroman with the home run. Now, 7 for 32 is just under the 219 mark, so it's not like that's anything explosive. But I thought Brad Miller, to this point, he has had some really good contact, just unfortunate. More about it not going his way, if you will. But in terms of seeing the baseball, hitting the baseball, really good flow in his swing and making solid contact with it. Yeah, it just got roped to somebody or there was a defender right there. But realistically, what you've seen out of Bamboo Brad, he was the spark plug in that 8th inning. He was the guy that started it. Adam Hazley ends up striking out, and here's Bamboo Brad stepping up to the plate without him in the 8th inning. Maybe there is some sort of emotional ride that you're trying to capture with, hey, Brad was able to be effective yesterday. Brad can hit a home run off of Marcus Stroman here, and maybe that's the road they go. All right, we got a $2 donation coming in here from Philly fans in South Dakota. A $2 donation. Time to give Odubel his shot. And, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I was saying it early on in spring training. I understood both things, all right? Odubel Herrera did not give you that much. He did not blow you away. He did have a couple really nice hits, and he did have some home runs in spring training, but he also had stretches of bad baseball, striking out, the helmet flying off, and you can see his hair going crazy, right? Typical Odubel Herrera stuff that we have seen. And Joe Girardi was talking about it after the decisions were made that he wasn't consistent enough. And that's a fair analysis. It really is. Is he the better of the three? Yeah, probably, but he's not this guy that's just going to change everything. I don't think he's your perfect option in center field either. You will. The problem is when he gets into his lulls and when he gets into his bad stretches, because of his background, the narrative will intensify by so much more. For as great of a 2-week span you're going to get, and the best version of all of these players. We take the best version of Roman Quinn, we take the best version of Odubel Herrera, and we take the best version of Adam Hazley. It's not even a question that the best version of all three of these players is Odubel Herrera. But knowing your back's up against the wall, knowing the 40-man roster situation and all, to get Odubel Herrera here, he would have had to be far and away better than everyone and just blow them out of the water where it wasn't even a competition at all. Did I think he was that phenomenal where it was a no-brainer, Odubel? Not really. Like Adam Hazley at the end of spring training definitely had a couple hits that kept him involved at the top of the conversation. And it was Adam Hazley's job to lose, really. He would have had to been absolutely horrible to then allow Odubel. Like if Adam Hazley performed, it was Adam Hazley's job. And I'm not saying that Adam Hazley was this amazing player, but I thought he did enough and he held his own in that moment. So I understood that. I also understand, as I mentioned, that Odubel is probably the better player at all three of them. But let's not act like Odubel Herrera is not going to have moments of really struggling and making a poor play somewhere in the outfield or swinging and missing through all these pitches that he should be able to drive. Like I said, his helmet flies off and the hair flies around like that. That's typical Odubel Herrera. So as much as I'm okay if he was to play, I don't think we need to get to the point of saying that, I don't know. I mean, it's a tough spot to be in for sure. I'm not going to scream for him yet. There might be a time where I do. I still would. What I would do is, well, you want to show accountability, right? Hey, Adam, that can't happen. There's also a little bit of me that goes, yo, kid, put it behind you. Let's go. Put it behind you. Go back out there. Here's your chance, right? Like you're a professional. This is Major League Baseball. You don't sit everyone for every mistake. Now, there's a difference between Bryce Harper making a mistake, a hustle play, or Rhys Hoskins doing that, and Adam Hazley, a guy who hasn't really earned his stripes yet. But at the same time, I feel that there is buttons that can be pushed in some spots, and other times maybe you can go in this other direction. And the way I probably would have handled it was, and this is more because I don't like Roman Quinn at all, I would say, yo, Haze, put it behind you. Here we go. Another game. Don't worry about it. Go out there and perform. Because to me, it's Adam Hazley's job. It's not Roman Quinn's job. It's Adam Hazley's job. So, Adam, I hated what you did yesterday. Don't let it happen again. Go out there. You're a professional athlete. Put it behind you and play. Thank you so much for the $2 donation, Philly fan in South Dakota. I really do appreciate the support. That is how I personally would have handled it. Now, looking at the New York Mets and what they are going to be rocking today. Lindor batting in that 2 spot, Conforto in the 3, Pete Alonso batting cleanup, Dominic Smith batting 5th, J.D. Davis batting 6th, Jeff McNeil batting 7th, and James McCann batting 8th. That is your lineup for the New York Mets. And I'm not afraid today. I'm not afraid. And this lineup might tell you, hey, they're somewhat, I'm not saying they're taking their foot off the gas, but if you can set yourself up with Nola on the mound to win the series with your stronger lineup, like at some point, I know it's not like the most loved thing in the world, but at some point your players need rest. And it's not, it's only 4 games in. How can they need rest already? You can't have your utility guys sit on the bench and never get any sort of live pitching in real games and just have them pinch hit whenever. Like at some point they deserve a chance to get out there and play. This is when they're giving him that chance. And I'm fine with that. I have no issue with this being the lineup at all. And I don't look at it as a punt of a game. But if you look at tomorrow with Aaron Nola on the mound, as you have Chase Anderson on the bump today, if you get your guys back, I'd rather have my full lineup back with Nola. I'd rather have my full guys and Nola than try and do it with the Chase Anderson. That's the way I'm kind of looking at it, and I don't have a problem whatsoever. We have a $10 donation coming in here from Reed. I'm a Dodgers fan, but I always do that. For some reason, I just misread things and throw random words in there. I'm a Dodger fan, but enjoy you talking about the Phillies more than anyone else talks about the Dodgers. My question is, do you agree with McCutchen leading off over guys like Didi or Segura regularly? Yeah, Andrew McCutchen is your leadoff guy. A couple years ago, you saw a spot where Andrew McCutchen got hurt, and then this team that was putting together some nice wins and they looked pretty damn solid, it fell apart, and they couldn't find that guy. They tried Gene Segura. They tried Bryce Harper. Didi Gregorius was not on the team at that time, but there's something to be said about how the guy just knows how to be a leadoff hitter. There's times where you know when to be aggressive, where maybe you swing early and you swing at a first pitch, and then there's times where it's, hey, let's take this the right way, and let's have him throw a few pitches. Let me get a feel a little bit. Let's see the strike zone. You kind of have it or you don't have it. Being a leadoff hitter is a skill that doesn't really relate on paper. And of course, OBP is something that you look at. You want to get on base. Yes, it does show on paper, but there's a lot of things, the intangibles, that don't pop, that don't show up as much, and Andrew McCutchen has it. Didi, to me, I like him in that spot of 5th, 6th. It shows you the depth of this team. If Didi Gregorius is batting 6th in your lineup, holy hell, right? That means you have legitimate weapons there, and you have players where it's going to be tough to grind through. So if Didi's your 6th, yeah. In terms of Gene Segura, I've seen him be at the top of the lineup before, and there was success when he was batting in your 2 spot, and there was success in Seattle where he's given you 300 3 years in a row, and that was such a great spot for him. But once again, if he's now batting 7th, it just shows you how strong of a lineup you have. I don't have a problem with when everyone's available and they give you McCutchen, Reese, Harper, JT, Bohm, Didi, Segura, and then whoever's batting 8th. Like, that's lethal. I don't have an issue with that at all. Honestly, to look at it the other way, instead of having a problem with it, that is insane. Like, that makes me smile. That makes me juiced. That makes me pumped. That gets me going. That gets me a little horny, to be honest. So, yeah, it's the other way around. It really is. Thank you so much, Reed, for the $10 donation, man. I really do appreciate all the support. That means the world, especially from a Dodgers fan, right? Dodgers fan coming in here. Thank you so much. So why don't we head back to the batter's box for our next topic? Boom, here we go. The emotional swing. You have to handle the emotional swing. I can relate this perfectly to what we saw out of the national championship game last night. What happened with Gonzaga in the Final Four against UCLA? This team was dominant all season long. This team was insane. Like, you could not beat this Gonzaga team. They had everything. You take UCLA, bringing them to overtime, pretty much bringing them right to the very edge, and it's such an emotional half-court type heave, 3-point shot, banks off the backboard and goes in, and Gonzaga can't sleep at night. It's like, wow, did we really do it? Now, this isn't the Final Four of the national championship. This is Game 5 of the regular season. But my point is, I think you saw the difference in Baylor and the difference in Gonzaga. Now, it is a little different because the Mets are the one that had that emotional loss. Baylor didn't have that emotional loss. It would be like UCLA having to bounce back. So there is this element of the emotional side for the New York Mets that apply as well. You know, they got to make sure they keep their heads up high. They got to make sure they put yesterday behind them. They can't allow that to domino effect and have a domino effect into the field today when you go to Citizens Bank Park. So there is an element of the New York Mets getting ready from that emotional standpoint too. But with the Phillies, based off of yesterday, you got to make sure that you kind of attack it. This is a new day. It does not matter about the 8th inning yesterday. It does not matter what happened with Jose Alvarado in the 9th. It doesn't matter about Connor Brogdon. None of that has any say on the outcome of what's about to happen today. And that's what it takes to be in Major League Baseball with so many damn baseball games. But it's a rivalry. You despise the Mets. You hate the colors of the uniform. You can't stand Francisco Lindor being there because you know how good he is. You just wiped out their team when they had Jacob deGrom because Rojas pulls him with 77 pitches, and you were able to exploit that decision, that poor decision that they made. You were able to say, hey, screw you. We're going to take this game right from you. So there's all these great feelings involved in the clubhouse saying, hey, I don't want their head to get too big. So there is this element of get back to reality a little bit. Pretend it never happened, wash it away, and let's act as if this is game one of the series. Or maybe not. You don't have to really approach it of, hey, this is game one, but let's approach it with this, because this is true. This wins you the series. This wins you the series. Go win the series tonight. And then there's this little long-term thought of, and if you win it tonight to win the series, you have your number one starter to sweep the first two series in a row. But just like yesterday doesn't matter, Nola's game doesn't matter. What matters is Chase Anderson. What matters is tonight. What matters is 7:05 at Citizens Bank Park on Tuesday night. So think of it as win the series. Win the series. Make a statement to everybody in this league. Make a statement to the NL East. Make a statement to the division and to the Braves that it wasn't a fluke. All right, it wasn't a fluke. We're going to win the first two series of the season. Let's see how they handle what happened last night. It's not easy. We're all humans. All right, emotions get the best of us for a reason. There's a reason why Paul Pierce isn't working for ESPN anymore. Oh, did I have to do that? No, not really. And I don't know why I did, because the reason why he's not working at ESPN anymore is because he got stoned and he was hammered and he was working with all these hookers and strippers. So that has nothing to do with baseball and emotions at all. I just think it's funny if I could take a shot at Paul Pierce, because I think he does a horrendous job of being an analyst, and I think he does a terrible job with a lot of things that he does. But I digress. Question 2 here in the batter's box is very simple. They have to handle the emotional swing. Can they? And I think when you have great leadership like Joe Girardi and Bryce Harper and JT Realmuto, and Didi Gregorius, who has played with the New York Yankees, talk about pressure, talk about, hey, if things go wrong, that's fine. Sweep it under the rug, and you have the next day to make sure you make up for yourself. And that's why, kind of to go back to that Adam Hastley thing, this is baseball, and how many times do they say, well, the best part about baseball is you can do it again the next day. If you can't sleep well, if it doesn't sit well with you, it's not like football where you have to wait 7 days to make up for it. You have the next night. So I personally would have told Adam Hasty that, hey, you get a chance in center field again, but don't fuck up. Be honest with him. Look, yeah, you're on thin ice right now, but you get that chance. Go out there, kid. Go make that play. That's the beauty of baseball. You get another chance the next night. So can they make sure that everything is in check on that side, the mental side of the game? Because it's very, very important. All right, let's get to the batter's box. The pitching matchup tonight, Chase Anderson versus Marcus Stroman. I was pretty damn disappointed in what we saw out of Matt Moore yesterday. There's no denying it. We would all claim that is a disappointment. 3 1/3. The beginning was unbelievable, right? It was awesome to watch him strike out, the poise, the patience. He just looked like a veteran, but then he started losing his command. And once that happened, you had too many walks. I think he finished with 4 walks total. You got to get a cleaner play out of your starting pitching. And because of that, you have a problem with the bullpen usage. So it looks like no Jose Alvarado. That was mentioned by Joe Girardi. And then Coonrod is questionable. So just something to look at. You got to at least get into the 6. So what I'm looking for out of Chase Anderson today is maybe 5 1/3, 5 2/3, in that area. I don't think I'm going out on a limb or asking for too much out of your 5th starter to give me something along the lines of 5+. Anything more would be great. Anything more would be an added bonus. But keeping my realistic expectations in check, I can't demand the guy to go into the 7th and say, hey, our 5th starter needs to go into the 7th. Their 5th starter for a reason. But I would like for him to get into the 6th. So 5+. I'm asking for 5+ out of Chase Anderson. I don't really know what to expect out of Chase Anderson. Last year, it was a 7+ ERA, so not what we're looking for. 2019, a 4.21 ERA. 2018, a 3.93 ERA. And if we're going to date all the way back to 2017 success, there was a whopping 2.74. So, I mean, as of late, I can't go back to anything 2017 related. Do I expect it to be 7+? No. I don't know, though. I don't think anyone knows. It's all speculation. You got to see a little bit of something out of Chase Anderson. Now, we saw some spring training success out of both of these guys, Matt Moore and Anderson, but that's not the same thing at all as being in the real time, being in real regular season, being in Citizens Bank Park, going up against a lineup that, has a little bit more in the tank. When you play spring training lineups, it's not necessarily the same. And maybe you work on different. So you try and work on pitches to get yourself comfortable in spring training. But then by the regular season, you should have everything where, you want it to be and all, but sometimes you don't. And sometimes you didn't get to work on some of the pitches that you would have liked to work on. So maybe you're not as comfortable on the mound as maybe you would like to be at, but you got to start using your repertoire because it's all real now. It's no fun and games anymore. It's not Florida anymore. So it's time to put it all on, put the big boy pants on and go out there and compete. And if you're going to have to use some pitches you're not fully comfortable with, you might have to throw some of these hitters off balance. And that's when things can get a little ugly, specifically early in the season. So I have no idea what to truly expect out of Chase Anderson. I don't have enough of a sample size for I'm going to need to see 4 or 5 starts of these pitchers to really get a grasp of who they're going to be. What's their identity? What are they good throwing? Where do they like hugging around the plate? Like, what is shooting them best this season, or what is failing them this season? Now I already have one game under Matt Moore, knowing that, hey, after a couple of innings, it was location. It was not being able to locate his pitches. He started to lose that command. What out of Chase Anderson? I am asking for 5+ innings out of Chase. Now, looking at Stroman's success. In 2019, he had a 3.22 ERA. In 18, it was a 5.54. If I can read my handwriting correctly, it could be a 5.34. I'm telling you, I'm a bit of a scribbler. I don't know if that surprises anybody, but maybe not the best handwriting in the world. And in 2017, it was in the 3.09 ERA. So he's someone that can be dialed in, and he is a pitcher that can do some damage. There's no doubt about it. Stroman can have one of those days where you're struggling and you look overwhelmed and everyone gets fooled and maybe the knees buckle a bit. You do see that out of Stroman, but he's hittable. He's a very hittable pitcher, as I alluded to, in 2019 against lefty hitting, close to a 300 batting average, 291 to be exact. His career says otherwise, though. His career says 260, and against righties, it was career against lefties 262. Career against righties 260. So very close career-wise. If we just want to base it off of last year in 2019, it's a different story. But that somewhat fascinates me a bit. Why don't I take a look at not 2019, but why don't I look at 2018 to see what his splits were then, to see if maybe we can get a little bit more of a sample size and a little bit more. So against lefties in 2018, 272, and against righties, 295. That's a little interesting, huh? That's a little interesting. Why not 2017? Now I'm just going year by year because I'm just curious. That one's definitely interesting. Against lefties in 2017, 251. Against righties, 275. Pretty damn interesting. I'm not going to lie to you. That is pretty damn fascinating to me, if I do say so myself. All right. One more time. We'll open things up to the comment section here, but let's go to the batter's box. All right, so for the last batter's box, we like to open it up to your comments and your thoughts and look more into the chat. So, Bohm, this is the Schmidt Collector. Bohm, Harper, and Didi, they are all due. So you're calling for, and right above it, he says, maybe 3 home runs today. I do have this gut feeling that Bryce Harper is going to have the night tonight where he steps up and he becomes that home run hitter tonight for you. I think he is due. I think this is a matchup that screams Bryce Harper. So maybe he gets an opportunity to go yard and go the distance. I really do think so. Do I think it's going to be all 3? No. I don't think Bohm, Harper, and Didi. The thing is with Alec Bohm, and here's what I think is wild about Bohm, because he's hitting the ball so well, but it's putting the ball in play, realistically, right? It's not the power, it's not the moon shots, but he's hitting it down to third baseline, or he's going the opposite way with it and poking it to right field. There's so much that Alec Bohm's doing. He's waiting on an off-speed pitch with 2 strikes. I'm not worried about Alec Boehm's power. I think that will come naturally as he continues to step up to the plate. I don't think he stresses about it. There's times where Rhys Hoskins is so worried about, I have to hit home runs. I need to be that home run hitter. And that throws him all out of whack. Alec Boehm's not that guy. So when it comes to maybe getting some home runs in play, well, I think we're due. There's no doubt that this Phillies team is due to hit the ball over the fence, more so than just Andrew Knapp being the one to do it. I don't know if it's going to be Boehm, and maybe it is. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible for it to be Boehm, but I don't think he's worried about it. He's not out there looking for it. Bryce looks for it, but he does it at a professional level. Didi looks for it, and it's always going to be to right field. It's impossible. Now, that's impossible to go the other way. But with Boehm, you know what? When it comes, it comes for Alec Boehm. I don't think that he's putting too much stress on himself, and he's just worried about see ball, hit ball, wait on the right pitches, wait on the off speed, and just have a smooth, solid stroke with just good mechanics. Following through, see the ball, the hips are in the right place. You can see the big difference between Scott Kingery's hips and Alec Boehm's hips, right? Jeez, no doubt. Who would I rather have in center field every day, Hasty or Moniak? Adam Hasty right now. Out of these two guys, Adam Hasty right now over Mickey Moniak. I'm not on the Mickey Moniak train yet, and that's not to say he'll never prove me wrong. I have been one of the guys that called him a bust. I've been one of the guys that said he's absolutely overrated and overvalued at that number 1 pick. I claimed I'd rather have Ian Anderson over him, and I still stand by that, especially if you see that nasty, disgusting changeup that he was able to throw on this Phillies lineup on that last game of Game 3 of that Brave series. But right now, I'd still rather give Adam Hasty that shot. And I'm not saying that I think Adam Hasty is some phenomenal player. I don't think Mickey Moniak is some phenomenal player. But right now, all I'm asking for is a serviceable guy. And I need to see that out of Adam Hasty. And right now, to answer your question, Al, I think I would give that chance to Adam Hasty over Mickey Moniak. He did show that power with the bomb in spring training. He does have power. I'm not saying he doesn't have power. He does have the power, but I don't think he's worried or stressed about that. I don't think he thinks for it. He just sees ball, hit ball. You know what I mean? Do I think the bullpen success is sustainable? To this level? No, not to this level. But because all bullpens give up leads. There's bullpens that fail. You never bat 1,000. No pun intended here, speaking about baseball. But you're never going to have a bullpen that will never make a mistake and never give up a run or never cost a lead. So do I think they're going to be shut out, lights out? And I know Jose Alvarado ended up giving a run up in the 9th, and that's probably what you're going to see out of him more times than not. You'll see those innings followed by a shutdown inning, followed by a crazy wild inning, followed by a shutdown inning. So you'll probably see that, but I do think you're going to have and maybe, do I say above average? I'm trying to think of it. Are they just going to be an average bullpen, or are they going to be above average? They're somewhere in between average and above average. That's where I kind of see this bullpen, and considering where your offense is and what they can do and you're starting pitching at the top of the rotation, that could be deadly for the outcome of this season. No doubt about it. Would I rather have Ian Anderson or Spencer Howard? I like Spencer Howard. I think he's got some electric stuff. There is some worrisome in me about that shoulder. There's some problems that he had in years past with the shoulder. And nowadays, if you don't have shoulder problems, are you even an MLB pitcher? If you don't have Tommy John surgery, do you even pitch, right? I mean, it does seem to be that way. I think Ian Anderson has a higher ceiling than Spencer Howard. Now, that doesn't mean that Spencer Howard's going to be a bum and you're not going to be able to utilize Spencer Howard. I would have liked to seen him take that jump by now. Everyone has their own path. Everyone has their own way of growing as a player, and you develop in other areas quicker and faster or slower than anybody else. So you can't say because Ian Anderson is here, Spencer Howard has to be there. Or because this player is here, another player needs to be there. That's not how it works. Everyone grows and experiences the major league level at a different pace. But if you're going to ask me who I would rather have of the two, I'm definitely going to go with Ian Anderson. I definitely am. Justin wants to know, who do you think? I told you. There are times I am just pathetic at reading things, and I put different words out there that's even in the comment. Why do you think Joyce is leading off? I think they're making it clear that, hey, we recognize the numbers that Marcus Stroman had against lefties. Other than the Adam Hastley effect, that's pure discipline, it seems, in my opinion. So to get Joyce in there, to get Brad Miller in there, I think they're trying to make a statement of, hey, look, we want to get some lefties in there. We want to get some guys in there that can bat on that side of the on the batter's box to see. So I wouldn't put too much crazy thought into it. It's an eyebrow raise. This lineup is an eyebrow raise, but detrimental, no. Is Joe Girardi losing his mind? No. Right? No. Brodes, where did I get this Bryce Harper picture behind me? It's a great question. Where did I get that? I found it online somewhere, to be honest with you. I don't know exactly where I got it. When I bought my house and I was thinking of my man cave, I was thinking about some of the athletes in the city. And of course, Bryce Harper, we know he's going to be here for quite some time. So I don't know exactly where I got it. Bro, this is from Elijah. Brodes, do you think that Anderson will be better than Matt Moore last night? Yes, I do. And that's not to say that I think Chase Anderson is going to blow the doors off this Mets lineup, but I think it's more of I was pretty underwhelmed with Matt Moore. And I did see that there were some people that cover the team that were trying to feel a little optimistic about it. Hey, look what Matt Moore did in that first inning. Look what Matt Moore was able to do to Francisco Lindor to kind of start off that game a bit. And yes, but anyone could have a stretch of 5 batters, right? It's how quickly things fell off. For you to lose command and you to lose focus so early in that game where you looked so dynamite and you looked so powerful, especially when what did we praise? We praised his poise. We praised his delivery. We praised that aspect of Matt Moore. And then within seconds, we're talking about how he has 4 walks on the day and you're getting base runners on base. He did end up loading the bases and then get a really nice ball hit that allowed I think it was Gene Segura. I'm pretty positive it was Gene Segura. It doesn't really matter who it was, though. He got out of that bases loaded situation. There is a nice aspect of that. But at the same time, if you're asking me the question, do I expect Chase Anderson to be better than that? Yeah, I do. I mean, I hope he can give you more than 3 1/3. You got to get way more than 3 1/3 out of this team, especially because you just went pretty heavy on your bullpen. Now, you do have guys available. It's not like all these players are shut down. The last I saw was Jose Alvarado out for tonight, and Coonrod is questionable. Other than that, you do have options out there. But if this is a game, like here's my philosophy that I'm just trying to put myself in their shoes. If you're giving Matt Joyce a chance, if you're putting Bamboo Brad in there, if you're throwing these guys out there to get a little bit of time, if there is a spot where you need a pitcher to get thrown in there and you might need a little bit longer of relief, do you see Vince Velasquez? Do you see a pitcher like that where it's almost a prove-it day for some guys? And, not that it's a prove-it day for Matt Joyce, but it's a day to get guys out there to maybe get some run that they're not normally accustomed to seeing, just to keep them loose, just to keep them engaged, just to keep them prepared a bit. Is Vince Velasquez a name? Because we haven't heard much of it, and I did hear Corey Seidman speak about Vince Velasquez, David Hale, those two specifically with Mikey Miss on 97.5 The Fanatic yesterday. So it's just a name that I'm kind of looking out for sure. Andrew Murphy says Gene Segura has had some awful at-bats since his walk-off. Gene Segura, here's the thing. He's your 7th hitter, and tonight he's batting 6th. So he's not your 7th now, but normally he's your 7th hitter. I do think at times we put way too much focus on your 8th hitter, on your 7th hitter. A lot of these guys have had some ugly bats. It's just so hard to tell, too. But to demand a 7th, 8th hitter, I need X, Y, and Z out of them. Well, they're hitting there for a reason. Now, Segura has a track record of success where to hold him to a certain level, I do think is more reasonable than others because you've hit 300 for 3 years in a row. You were an all-star at one point. Yeah, that's correct. You were an all-star. You gave us 280 the first year in Philadelphia. You can be that. So if you're not that, I'm keeping the bar where you played at reasonably at a recent time period. I'm not talking about 9 years ago, right? Like there's been a recent stretch of success for Gene. So yeah, I do expect him to be a bit better. But I mean, yeah, he's had some ugly at-bats. You know who else has had some ugly at-bats? Rhys Hoskins. You know who else who had some ugly at-bats? Didi Gregorius striking out. There's been some ugly at-bats. And maybe that's a product of Gene Segura being at this point in his career. But we talk about the stress and And, having to be a certain guy. Being the seventh hole hitter, you don't have to be a certain guy. You don't have to put as much emphasis on, I got to make sure I move Andrew McCutchen over. I got to make sure I put the ball in play. I have to make sure I do this and that. It's a different mentality. It's a different switch. And maybe I'm saying that from a positive way, not too much, but some guys might react differently to that. Who knows? There's some players that are wired differently. You can push certain buttons differently with certain players. I like relating a lot of things to other teams in this city. Alain Vigneault telling Carter Hart that he needs to work better and work harder. That's not a knock on Carter Hart's work ethic. Everyone knows he's an elite player when it comes to practicing and dedication. That's because he knows that Carter Hart is wired differently, and you can push the buttons differently with Carter Hart than you can, let's say, a Phil Myers or an Alex Lyon or a Brian Elliott. You can do different things with different players. With Gene Segura, maybe he needs that two-hole spot back and say, I need that type of pressure. Maybe he doesn't need it. We don't know. It's too small of a sample size, but I'm just trying to think of the logic and the way that it is applied to these players. All right, what else do we got here in the comment section? I'm not going to lie. I am going to need a second here to take a nice sip of water. As I just had Chipotle. I got Chipotle ordered to the house. And when I tell you that, first off, I'm stuffed. I'm bloated. Double steak. I mean, I went full throttle. I am bloated. I got the chips. I got the sauce. I mean, I can't move, I feel. So not only that, talking an hour after I'm sitting here just shoving my face with chips and guac and double steak and corn and cheese and, medium sauce. So good. Although I'm kind of sick thinking about it because I'm just in that food coma mode. My mouth is a little dry and just uncomfortable, but you got to power through, right? I mean, you just got to battle through it. Amazing. Reed asked if I saw Acuna's two. He had two. I saw the first one. I did not see the second one. Let's type it in on the on Twitter to see if I can see the second one. Scherzer got lit up today. Yeah, well, I told you about that yesterday with DeGrom. There's a problem with people thinking that it's impossible to beat some of these pitchers. Garrett Cole lost. Now Max Scherzer lost. Jacob DeGrom wasn't able to get the victory. But I did not see. Oh, here's the first one. Man, that was a beautiful swing. Where is Spencer Howard? He's in the minor leagues. Spencer Howard is in the minor leagues. Damn, that ball was crushed by Ronald Acuna Jr. It's crazy what happens with that lineup, huh? Crazy what happens with that lineup when you're not playing the Philadelphia Phillies. Must say something about the top dogs. I must say something about Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, and those players for sure. But yeah, so there's that. So, all right, what we're going to do here is, as we're 45 minutes in, I want to thank everybody for being here on Leading Off with Brodes. I'm really excited to continue to do Phillies pregame. I love this Phillies team. It's a really fun ride right now, and I'm just super stoked to sit down and watch 9 innings of baseball. While you have Sixers and the Celtics and the Flyers and the Bruins, a little Boston matchup, you have that as well. What I want everybody to do before we kind of wrap things up a bit more, make sure that you are following me on Twitter. That was a Chipotle come up the throat concept there. Not a great feeling. Go over to Twitter at Brodes81. Make sure you're following me. Then go to at Brodes Media, which is a new Twitter account that we are going to be implementing throughout the games and just kind of creating some content with Shelfie of the MLB, the show community. We're doing some really good Phillies content with him that will be accessible on the Brodes Media Twitter page. We're going to be doing a new giveaway for the Hump Day giveaway tomorrow as well, utilizing my own Twitter account and Brodes Media. There are some people asking, can you win without Twitter? No, you have to. We use Twitter as the source, as the outlet. So you have to make sure that you use that spot. So that is for sure. Yes, that's where we're at. So I want to thank everybody for hanging out today for the Phillies pregame show. I got 15 minutes or so to kind of wrap this up and shut the stream down and kick in and get all my TV set up. So I want to thank everyone for hanging out today, and we'll have tomorrow. Keep in mind, tomorrow's game's at what, 4:05? Let's double check that just to make sure we're on the same page for tomorrow's Leading Off with Brodes. Tomorrow's 4:05. So 3 o'clock is tomorrow's stream. Keep that in mind. 3 o'clock is tomorrow's stream. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today on Leading Off with Brodes, and I'll catch you guys later on. A lot of post